Hello and welcome to today's English lesson. My name is Stuart. In today's lesson, we're looking at vocabulary related to drugs. Let's go to the intro. Now, as I said, today's vocabulary is related to drugs. Okay, this controversial topic that a lot of countries have problems dealing with. Countries are deciding whether to make some drugs legal, whether to be stricter with drugs. Some countries have a war on drugs for whatever reason. But the topic of drugs in most Western democracies is a controversial one. So we need to get to know some of the vocabulary that we use when we talk about this topic, because it could always come up in a speaking exam, for example. Okay? Now, drugs. The first thing we'll look at is that you get addicted to drugs, or you can be addicted to drugs, so be or get addicted to drugs, or you can be or get hooked on drugs. Now, those two words are similar in meaning, okay? To be addicted to, which is probably more formal, and to be hooked on drugs, which is less formal, more informal, okay? So you are addicted to, or you are hooked on, or you get addicted to, or you get hooked on drugs, okay? Those are the two expressions we use. People that are addicted to drugs are known as addicts, drug addicts, or they can also be known as junkies. Again, formal, informal. We can also call them users, drug users. Now, when people have used drugs, but they manage to get off drugs or stop using drugs, they become clean because perhaps they've gone into rehab. Rehab is a short word for rehabilitation. Okay, so that when they get clean because they've been in rehab or they've had rehabilitation, so they are no longer on drugs. Okay, but they could always go back to their old behavior if they are unlucky, of course, because as we said before, drugs are very addictive. Okay, people get addicted to drugs, so maybe they're on drugs, maybe they're off drugs, but drugs can be very addictive. Now, drugs normally fall into two categories, soft and hard. Soft drugs, normally we classify marijuana as a soft drug, and you can see that in some places nowadays marijuana is decriminalized or even legal. So it's classified as a soft drug. And then we have hard drugs. When I was growing up, the hard drugs were heroin was a hard drug. Cocaine perhaps was considered a hard drug as well. Okay, so we had the soft drugs and we had the hard drugs. If you use drugs, you have a drug habit, okay? You have a drug habit. And a lot of the times people steal in order to supply their drug habit, okay? They steal to supply their drug habit. You buy drugs from a drug dealer or a drug pusher. Now, I put an asterisk next to pusher because it could be a slang term, okay? A drug dealer or a drug pusher. It's less formal again, so I put the asterisk next to it as well. Drugs can be illegal, which is the hard drugs obviously are always going to be illegal. And drugs can also be legal. So you can buy some drugs over the counter, okay, over the counter. If you can buy drugs over the counter, it means that you walk into a pharmacy or a chemist or even supermarkets and you buy the drugs over the counter. If you go to the doctor, he will give you a prescription for some drugs, and then of course you go to the chemist or the pharmacy and you exchange that prescription for the drugs, okay? So you can get drugs on prescription. Drug addicts look to get a fix. Now again, I put an asterisk here because fix also is quite informal. So drug addicts are trying to get a fix. And if you hear that term used, if you try to get a fix, it means that a drug addict is trying to get the drugs in order to satisfy their craving or their desire to do that drug. So they get a fix, okay? People get high on drugs, okay? You get high on drugs, or you can also get wasted on drugs. Again, wasted, more slang, less formal, okay? So you get high on drugs or you get wasted. Drugs can be recreational as well. You can often hear the term about recreational drug use. So what that means is that they do drugs in their free time, recreational drug use. So instead of going to the park and maybe kicking the football around, you smoke some marijuana and you are a recreational drug user. Okay. Hard drugs can also lead to ODs. ODs, okay. OD is the acronym for overdose. And of course, we've had a lot of famous people that have died of overdoses. They have OD'd on drugs. Amy Winehouse, I think, Janis Joplin back in the 1970s. A few more famous people as well have OD'd on drugs. Drugs can be uppers or they can be downers. Okay, uppers meaning that you get a euphoric sensation, and downers meaning that they bring you down into like a depressed type of state. So they can make they make you feel up or they make you feel down. Okay, uppers or downers. Drug trafficking is the activity, the illegal activity of people moving drugs. Okay, the drug traffickers, the people that move the drugs from one place to another. Drug traffickers move drugs into countries. And when the police find out about the drug trafficking, they often perform a drug raid. A drug raid when the police will raid a home that they suspect is housing drugs or that drugs have been consumed or made in that particular residence, and they perform a drug raid. So all of these words here can be used to build your vocabulary if we need to speak about drugs. Thank you very much for watching. Remember to leave a comment or question if you have one, just leave it below. Also, please share the video on social media, your Facebook, Google+, Twitter, Pinterest even. Try and share the video. I'll see you in the next lesson. Have a good day. Bye.